It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Indiana Tech's head women's wrestling coach, Coach Paul Rademacher. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Brandon. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's wrestling?
Yeah, for me, really, it came down to my style of coaching, the style of wrestling that best fit for me was freestyle, and the women wrestle freestyle at the collegiate level, and so that was for me that was a better fit for coaching to try to help athletes get to the goals that they have and those type of things. One of the things that I also like to kind of throw out there is that I often find that female athletes are more coachable. And so that makes it just a little more fulfilling or a little more easy to be excited about work every day when I know that the athletes enjoy being coached and that kind of thing. And so that was kind of how I got into coaching females and then coaching at the collegiate level.
What was that experience like going to college at Oregon State and getting to wrestle there?
Yeah, I mean, I won't pretend I was something that I was not. I was a practice room guy, so I spent a lot of time in the practice room and didn't spend a lot of time out on the big mat, but I did. I loved it. I had other opportunities going into college, but I told myself this is something I need to do. This is something that I needed to fulfill in myself, and so I just showed up every day, and they never told me to go away. And so I have some of my best friends still in my life that they're there because of the time that I spent there with those guys in that room and just sweating together, bleeding together, and wrestling together.
What was that like getting to represent Oregon State and putting on that singlet for them?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't do it very often, but it sure was an honor, and it sure was just a moment of pride, just to know that the work that I'd put in was being basically rewarded. It was given the opportunity to go out there and show everybody else that hey, this guy's putting in work too. So yeah, it was really rewarding.
What was that transition like from going from being a college wrestler to getting into coaching wrestling?
Yeah, college coaching well, just coaching in general. The coaches that I had in college really put us into positions to be coaches right away. And so I learned from them a lot. I talked to them a lot, and then really, the transition. One of the things that I found was that the athletes that I had, they wanted me to keep wrestling, and it gave me opportunities to keep doing it up until I was 37 years old. I kept competing and given opportunities for them to like, hey, let's go to this big meet. I'll wrestle, so you have to come. Like, and that was fun because it really got them to buy into some of the spring events and some of the events that we would go to.
What was that experience like coaching on the high school level?
Yeah, the high schools that I worked with, I was really fortunate. I got to get some great mentors. I went basically right from college. I went and started coaching at a high school that I went to, and I had a great mentor there with Matt McCadden, and we took a bunch of misfits, a bunch of basketball kids that didn't make the basketball team, and found a way to get them a state trophy and some things like that with the wrestling, and it was really fun to really have that group. Then I moved to Washington, and in that process of moving to Washington, I got to work with Rex Phoebus, and he really opened my eyes into kind of how to build a team, how to get the team together, and really how to just coach the sport in a different way. And I still had my college coaches that I would lean back on as well a lot. And then through that process, I was able to really startup process, and we won a district championship while I was at Mount Vernon. That was where I first started coaching girls. Is there we had a family that picked up and moved because they wanted to wrestle for me, and that was a lot of fun, to take that family and get them a state championship and get them a state runner up, and then another, the son, really did a lot of good things too. His career got cut a little short, but that was, that family I'll always remember and always be thankful for just the trust they put into me that way. And then I moved back to Oregon and had a great high school program that they had a lot of success before I got there, and we just were able to keep going for 2 years, and it was a blast. I loved it.
What was that like getting introduced to the women's side of wrestling and coaching on the women's side in high school and then moving to college?
Yeah. And when I got there, and it was something that really, like I said, they listen. Sometimes guys, they think they know it all. They think, oh, my other coach said this, and so they don't, like, that just isn't the same. So it was really rewarding to have athletes that really listened and really wanted to be coached and really have the experience of being coached that way. And then, truthfully, it made me a better coach because this is something I always say, and it's not selfish, but it is true. I had to learn why we women, because I had to know why, not just, hey, do this, run through them, put your hand here. Like, when you coach guys, you do that. When you coach women, they want to know why. Like, hey, why do I have to have my hand here? It was right here a second ago. Why? What's wrong with that? And so that process really made me a better coach because I had to learn the sport better.
What was that like getting to come onto the college level and coaching college women's wrestling?
Yeah, there we go. It was really exciting. It was something I never thought that I was going to be doing. I fought wildland fires right out of college. So I was fighting wildland fires in the summer, coaching high school in the winter. And so when I got to the college level, it was really eye opening, and it was really, really fun to think, hey, this is the life that I'm getting to live and that I get to choose. And we the first time we wrestled Menlo, and it was it was an experience, let's put it that way.
Coming to Indiana Tech, what was that like becoming the first head coach for the women's wrestling program?
Yeah, it was certainly an honor and something that I put a lot of pride into. Debbie Warren was our athletic director at the time. She has since retired and is living her best retired life, but she believed in me, and it was something that I felt like at Southern Oregon, where I was prior to being here. They didn't feel like they were ready to commit to me like I was ready to commit to them. And when Indiana Tech called and offered me the job and offered me the interview and the things that went with that, I just felt like they were really invested in building something really good, really great. And that was something that I just felt like um, they were kind of taking advantage of at Southern. And I really felt like they, here at Indiana Tech, wanted me to be successful. And so I'm super grateful for that opportunity that they took on me, the chance they took on me.
What is that like building the program from the ground up and bringing a sport like women's wrestling that most people don't have?
Yeah, it was hard. It was a lot of work. The big things for me, was I was coming from the West Coast, so I didn't have a recruiting base. I didn't have coaches that I knew. I didn't have really anything. My wife and I picked up, we grabbed the horses and we moved, and we just said, "Hey, here's Fort Wayne, Indiana. Let's go." So it was really exciting that way because print and say, hey, this is what Indiana Tech wrestling, women's wrestling is. This is what it stands for. I got to build a great relationship with our men's coach here during the year that I got to recruit. And so then that gave me the opportunity to really meet a lot of people and really kind of set the culture of what we're trying to build here, which is national championships.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've starting to build at Indiana Tech for the women's wrestling program?
Yeah, the culture that we're trying to build is a family culture. We've got athletes from 19 different states here right now, and we need them to feel at home. If they're homesick 5 weeks into school, then they're not going to stay. And so we really try to build an environment where they feel at home, they feel like they have support, the support that they need for whatever they have going on, whether it's family things back home, whether it's boyfriend girlfriend things here, whether it's whatever it is. We really try to support them through everything that they have going on. And then it's about winning. It's about finding ways to be competitive and find ways to win. We are really in a place where Indiana Tech, we won the Directors Cup last year as the athletic department for the NAI, and we want to hold our weight. We want to do our part to help us win again.
What was that feeling like for you as a head coach stepping onto that wrestling mat for the first time?
Yeah. Like I said, the first time we did it, we were wrestling Menlo, and it really was an eye opener. I felt like our team was prepared, we were ready, and we got smashed, and it was like, oh, yikes. So that was a little bit rough, but it gave me goals. It gave me things that I knew we could accomplish while I was there at Southern Oregon. And then the same thing kind of happened when we got to Indiana Tech. The first time we stepped out on the mat, it was a different world. We were living in COVID land, and no fans. We went into Cumberland's, we went into Adrian, and it was like, hey, let's go wrestle and just see what we can do. And it was one of those things that I really was able to kind of set the footprint of what we want to be as coaches to the team in that first event. And they still make fun of me for it now, but like they were stressed and I could see it. And I said, look, this is how much I care about this event. And I took my shoes off to basically show them that this is as relaxed as we can get. There's no pressure. This is unprofessional. Like, we're not doing this. We're just out here having fun. And they still, like I said, they still make fun of me for it, but they loved it. And that was one of the things that really allowed us to build that team that we're trying to build here.
What does a typical wrestling match look like for you as a head coach versus for your athletes?
Yeah, for the athletes, we really when it's a tournament, we kind of give them a lot of individual, like, hey, you guys focus on yourself, do your thing, and that kind of stuff. When it's a dual meet, and it's a single match, we really get them into the, hey, everybody's involved, nobody's on their phones, everybody's invested in every match and those type of things. And so when it's the difference between the coach and the individual athlete, my day is probably a little more stressful, just because I'm worried about 40 to 50 athletes and they're worried about themselves. But it really is, it's a busy day, but it's a fun day. And it's something that competition, it really does bring out the best in people, or the worst, but I think it brings out the best in our team, and it brings out the best in the people that I surround myself with.
Who are some of the teams that you see during these competitions?
Yeah, we compete in the Mid-South Conference. So we compete with Life, who just won a national duels championship, Life University with Ashley Sword, Flavin. And so they won a national championship. And then, we compete against Campbellsville, who's won national championships. We compete against Cumberland's, who's kind of our rival. And that's fun because it creates a great environment for both teams when we get to compete against each other. And then, the other sports here at Indiana Tech, they compete in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference. And so we've added a couple teams into the Mid-South that also compete in that conference for their other sports, their, men's wrestling, their basketballs, their lacrosse and soccer and whatever else. So we get to compete against Siena Heights, Rochester, and Lourdes in that vein. And that's, again, it's a rivalry thing. It's like, hey, who's the best Wolverine Hoosier athletic team? Well, right now it's Indiana Tech, but I know Lourdes is coming. I know Siena Heights is coming. They got a new coach, and she's really accomplished. And so it's going to be crazy to watch the teams really build and create an environment that's a lot of fun up here in northern Indiana, northern Ohio, and southern Michigan for sure.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Life and Siena Heights comes versus going away to UC Cumberland?
Yeah, the home environment's a ton of fun. So here at home, we've really got good crowd. We've got fans, and then our student body comes and supports. I'll shout out our men's lacrosse team. They're really good at coming to events and being loud and being excited about whoever's competing in any event. And like I said, our men's wrestling team, we've got a great relationship with them, and so they come and they support us, and so it really makes it so it's a fun environment. It's loud. When we've traveled to other environments, it's a great environment. It's a place where we know we have to do our part to make the environment good for them too, and for those fans, and our fans generally have traveled fairly well, so that makes it fun too, because we do have a bigger recruiting base. So like when we go to Michigan, we've got athletes from Michigan, so their family always comes, and same thing when we go down south, and so it makes it a lot of fun.
What have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far as a head coach?
Yeah. So as a head coach, we here at Indiana Tech, we've placed twice at national duels in the 3 years we've gone. Really feel good about that. It's amazing to have a fourth year program that's placed twice. And we've had 6 All-Americans. But I think the other piece that sometimes people miss is we do a lot of stuff on the mat, but then we've had 32 academic All-Americans, and so we really put a lot into the academic side as well. Our first season we finished second in the team standings for academics, with our team GPA, and that's something that I always take pride in. So I really feel like that's something that we're going to work hard to try to continue and try to get that championship in that way, as we try to work towards the national championship and on the mat, and that's really where we're headed.
For my listeners that don't know about women's wrestling, how would you describe it?
It's exciting. Yeah, it's something that, a lot of men's wrestling, it's hey, there's the time on the mat, and there's a lot of maybe downtime, or less exciting action in some of the matches, and that's just not the case with freestyle. And the other piece is that the women, they don't know any better than to just go let it fly, and so there's a lot of excitement because they're trying to score. They're not just standing out there waiting for one opportunity. They're like, no, I'm going to create an opportunity. If I don't get it, I'm going to go try a different one. And so it's really fun. And then on the sides, most of the teams are fairly invested as well. And so like they get loud. They do. And I can only think to, even just our most recent competitions, and when we were at national duels, and my athletes couldn't hear me because the girls on both teams were yelling too loud. They couldn't hear me. So it makes it a lot of fun.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you built for Indiana Tech?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, the culture we're trying to build, and the culture that we've built is an environment that people want to be around. They want to be at. It's a family environment. It's something that we're competitive in the room. We're competitive out of the room when we go compete against other teams. And then, it's something that it really matters to me that everybody's a good person, and that they want to be the best version of themselves. And if we can create the best version of themselves, then the team will be successful. I don't have to worry about that. And that's what we want to create out of our athletes.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Yeah. So I take a lot of pride in not being a pressure recruiter. I'm not the car salesman. I'm not taking athletes and saying, hey, I need to know by next week, and here's your offer, and you got to tell me like right now. I take a lot of pride in that. We want our athletes to truly choose Indiana Tech because it's the right place. We want to give them the freedom to, hey, here's your offer. We communicate just, hey, how's your season going? How's it look? What do you guys got going on? Tell me about your life, not just us, and hey, we want you here, and those type of things. We really want to try to get to know the athlete from practice time to practice time, or competition time to competition time. And so that's kind of how the process works. They once they apply, once they decide that we have what they want to study, that's the important pieces to me is, do we have what they want? Can they make it work financially? Do they like the team? Do they like me as a coach? Do they like the university? And if those are the things, we've got a spot for them. And really what it comes down to when I'm looking at athletes, I look at how they move. Film is great. I don't spend a lot of time watching film. Our team is, but I don't do a lot of recruiting because I can see how they can move pretty quickly. And then it's about, do they love wrestling, and are they coachable, and are they a good teammate? If they're those things, again, they've got a spot here at Indiana Tech. They don't have to have won 14 state titles. They don't have to be a national champion every year, any of those kind of things. I want that. That's a great, but that's their goals. My goal is to have a team full of athletes that love wrestling and want to keep doing it. And we want them to do that when they graduate. We want them to love wrestling when they graduate, so they go back and coach and they go back and are still involved in it. And that's really what my job is as a coach, is to create that for them.
What does that official visit look like for those prospective student athletes and for those women's wrestlers out there? What is it like getting to see Indiana Tech and fall in love with the campus?
Yeah. Our campus is small. So official visit, we're in an AI school, official visit, unofficial visit. It's kind of the same thing. We're not really allowed to help much with the travel part as much as I would like to. We just aren't. But what I can tell you is that when athletes come and visit our campus, the buildings are fairly new. They're well maintained. Campus is beautiful in the fall. It's beautiful in the summer. It's beautiful in the spring. It's Indiana in the winter, so there's no leaves on any trees. The grass is a little brown, but it's a great place. And like I said, our buildings are new. Our engineering building just got a third bigger, and the other 2/3 got renovated, so it's basically a brand new one. There's brand new dorms. We really have a really cool campus, and then our wrestling facility on top of that is less than 5 years old. It's state of the art. We compete in the indoor track, and so that's brand new. That's less than 2 years old now. It's a year and 1 month old. And so like we really have been invested in, and so our turn is to basically return that investment. And so it's been a lot of fun to get kids on campus. Once they come on campus, they do a campus tour. We work through that. They come and meet with me. We talk about the nuts and bolts of the program, like the schedules, the practice plans, the weightlifting plans, all of those type of things. And then they're allowed to practice with the team, because we're an NAI school, and that's within the rules. And so we do a tryout, and they get to practice with the team and kind of feel what practice is like. And that's really a great opportunity for them to see, kind of how they fit into the team and meet the team and that kind of stuff.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on those singlets and represent Indiana Tech for the first time?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's always exciting. When they put that singlet on, it's like, hey, did they develop the way I thought they would in the fall? Are they the athlete I thought they were when I was recruiting them? It's exciting to watch them put that singlet on and take the pride in the brand, in the Indiana Tech brand, in the Indiana Tech university, and say, hey, this is where I go to school, and this is how we wrestle. And that's always so exciting for me. And I love that when we have athletes put the singlet on for the first time.
What is that like getting to see those singers putting it on for the last time?
Yeah, that one's bittersweet. Because it's always the last time is either it's coming, or you don't know it's coming because of an injury. But if you know it's coming, it's probably a conference or national tournament. And did you accomplish your goal? And really only one person accomplished their goal at that tournament. And so it's always bittersweet, because it's the right thing for them to move on. That they need to move on and do the next thing. But it's always hard, because you want them for, you've invested 4, 5, 6 years of time into that athlete, into that person, and into who they are. So you're a big part of their life. And then it's like, it kind of abruptly ends, for lack of a better way to put it. Obviously we still have contact with our alumni and with our people that graduate from our program, but it is something that's definitely bittersweet.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those wrestlers go on and compete professionally, whether it's WWE, AEW, or the US national route?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's something that, again, that's what they're trying to do. We've got a couple athletes on our team that are looking at the WWE route. We've had a couple athletes looking at USA Wrestling as their future. And so it really is exciting to have that, that they are going to get to keep doing the sport they love. And really that's what it is to me, is that when they graduate, when they finish, that they still love the sport in some way, and that they either go coach, they continue competing, whatever that is. I feel like that's a big part of my job, is to help make sure that they still love the sport when they're done.
What are some of your future plans for the women's wrestling program moving forward?
Yeah, our big plans we've got a great recruiting class coming in. We've got a lot of nationally ranked athletes coming in. We're excited about that. We kept a lot of the Indiana athletes here in Indiana, which I know a lot of people weren't happy that we kept them, but we did. So I kind of have been joking with people that, hey, it's a catch us if you can. We got these athletes, and that's the deal. We're going to have a lot of points next year, so you got to catch us if you can. And so, the big plans are to continue to work towards winning national trophies and putting national championships out there. And that's what we're trying to do. And then get people to graduate, whether you're the starter or whether you're the fourth string, you're going to graduate, you're going to go on to a career in whatever field you chose to study. And in that process, we're going to be proud of you. And that's really what it comes down to, is what we're building.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's wrestling?
Yeah, the freshmen really, the thing that I could tell them the most is buy in, be coachable, and don't let the moment be too big. Just be excited about it. And if they're coachable, they're gonna develop. And if they're working hard and doing the right things, they're gonna be ready for that first event when it's time. And then they just need to enjoy it.
What advice would you give those seniors out there looking to go compete for WWE or AEW after their college wrestling?
I think it's the same thing as what most jobs are. If you're interested, you got to communicate. If you're interested in doing that in the future, you got to tell those people. You got to tell them, hey, I want to be in this. And so they know that, hey, you do fit or you don't, or whatever it looks like, and let them work through that process. And that's what I would say is the best thing, that advice for that is to communicate and say, hey, I want this opportunity.
What advice would you give those wrestlers out there that are looking to get into coaching after their career ends?
Yeah. Ask questions, and find good mentors. Those are the things. It's if you don't ask questions and you don't find mentors to ask those questions about, you'll have to learn the hard way. And so for new coaches or for seniors that are looking to do it, the seniors that are looking to do it, go find an opportunity. We have opportunities. Every college pretty much has opportunities, whether it's from grad assistants, whether it's assistant coaches, whether it's the new programs that are starting that need coaches. There's opportunities that exist everywhere, whether it's at the high school, college, club level. They just have to be willing to take it, is really what it comes down to.
What advice would you give those coaches out there that are looking to become head coaches for a women's wrestling program and start and build it?
Yeah, that one goes back to the mentor thing. Have a good mentor. Have somebody that's willing to invest in you the way that you're going to invest in that program, or the way that you're investing in the next program that you're trying to go to be the head coach at. For me, I had a great mentor when I first took over at Southern Oregon, and that was the men's coach, and he had been there since the mid 90s. He went to school there. He knew Southern Oregon like it was the back of his hand, and he knew everything about it. So if I had anything to ask, I could ask him, and he would share that with me, and really helped me build what I try to build here because of the time that I had with the mentorship that he gave me. And then have friends that you can bounce ideas off of. Like I mentioned earlier, Life University, Ashley Flavin is and Christian Flavin for that matter. They are together, they're husband and wife, and they really do. We talk to each other every day. We are pretty open about that on different things that we talk about, but like we talk every day for an hour or more, and it just is what we do. And we bounce ideas. Hey, this is what we got going on. Hey, this is what we got going on. What are we missing? How do we fix it? And that's really how we work through it without having to figure it all out ourselves. Because that's just not how you do things.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Indiana Tech Women's Wrestling Program at?
Yeah. So for myself, I have it. I have Instagram. I have Twitter. We use those. But our team really uses Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter a lot. We try to give people results. So it's for the I mean, you can search Indiana Tech Women's Wrestling. We should pop right up for all of the social Instagram, and we have Threads, but we haven't used it very much because I don't know that it caught on like we thought it would. And we've been joking about doing a TikTok, and we're still trying to figure that one out. I'm older than TikTok, and so I don't really know how to use it. So I got to get the girls invested on that a little more to show me how to do it. Yeah, I'm happy to share the handles if that's what you want, but I have to look at them. I don't actually know them off the top of my head.
Thank you again, Coach Paul Rademacher, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Indiana Tech as the head women's wrestling coach.
Thanks. Brandon.
You can find Brandon
Sorry,
Sports Talk
I lost some of the.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Paul, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks, Brandon. I really appreciate it. You putting us on and giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.